Redditors who have actually won a lifetime supply of something. What was the supply you won and how long did it actually last? Story 1. I ran a small web forum for about 10 years. Our, also small, web host ran a promotion where we could pay something like 2.5 times the usual yearly fee and we would be part of an exclusive founders club and would get lifetime free hosting, just have to pay for the domain renewal each year. The owner was a good bloke and I knew he was operating on razor-thin margins, so I signed up more to do him a solid than to get the benefits. I figured in a couple of years he would conveniently forget about the Founders Club thing and I would go back to paying my usual fees. Never happened. After a couple of years, the thing did end up paying for itself. A few years later, the owner passed away. He was a young guy, lost his battle with cancer. The whole operation shut down. I was way more gutted to lose the guy than the deal. I'd happily pay the yearly hosting fee to have him back again. I guess in the end it was truthful advertising, he never specified whose lifetime. The weirdest part is that I know he had a couple hundred clients he was hosting, and although he opened up the Founders Club for the first 10 respondents, he never filled it up. I think it capped out at about 7. I don't know if his other clients thought it was too good to be true or what. Story 2. When I was a kid around 30 years ago, my dad said he'd won free pizza coupons, I think it was Domino's. And he had a massive stack of these little business cards, each for a free large pizza. My dad said we had to be careful using them, though, so we would only use them occasionally, and I remember my dad sometimes making me order the pizza, and answer the door to get the free pizza, even though I was only like 9. Looking back, my dad worked for a commercial printing company and was not exactly an upstanding citizen. I'm pretty sure he didn't win those cards. Story 3. This happened in the late 90s. A local bar ran a wet t-shirt contest where the girl who won would win a lifetime of free bar drinks at the bar. They also had cash prizes for second and third place. I don't remember how much, but it was a lot at the time. The result was a packed bar, tons of girls entered, and tons of guys spent money. My friend's girlfriend at the time, now his wife, won first place. She was stoked. He was excited. Within a couple of weeks, the building was condemned and torn down. Turns out the owners of the bar knew that the building was going to be condemned and just wanted to have one last party. That's definitely a scummy move, but I also appreciate that they knew the bar was closing and then decided to have a contest for lifetime drinks. Like, it's a really disreputable thing to do, but I appreciate the boldness. Story 4. Late to the party here, but when I was a little kid, my family and I happened to move to a new city, and the first or second night there we decided to try a new Chinese restaurant nearby. We didn't realize it was the inaugural evening, but there weren't very many customers. Yet the owner of the table waited on us himself and he was very sweet and friendly. Had just immigrated from China recently. He gave my family a free voucher to eat there for free for life since we were one of the few people actually to show up at all that night. I remember it was a big golden ticket like Willy Wonka. Sadly, the restaurant closed within a year. I always wonder how he's doing. My family was very poor back then and we would go there every month, which felt special. I'm sure it wasn't the greatest Chinese food in the world, but I still remember how the orange chicken tasted. Story 5. As a consolation prize for losing on a TV game show, I was given a popcorn popper, a little girl's bicycle, and a lifetime supply of Dinty Moore beef stew. I gave the popcorn popper as a Christmas present and sold the bicycle. When the beef stew arrived, it was one case of 12 cans. After trying the first can, I realized that the other 11 would indeed last me a lifetime. Story 6. My uncle gets free Ben & Jerry's for life. He's been friends with the actual Ben & Jerry since before they opened the first shop. He has a card that says free ice cream for a life and he can get pints or cones at any scoop shop, at least locally. He also gets decks of free pint coupons that he can use at grocery stores and gas stations. When Unilever bought them out, they tried to buy back all the free ice cream for life cards. I guess it was a fairly generous offer because my uncle is one of only a few that chose to keep the card. Story 7. Back in 1977 when I was 13 years old, I won a contest for a lifetime supply of models from Reville. A semi-truck pulled up to our house in a very quiet suburban neighborhood and proceeded to unload 4 pallets of plastic models in the driveway. They were hundreds of models, probably one of everything they offered in their catalog at the time. I kept about 2 dozen, which kept me busy for a year or so. My father helped by finding a local retail hobby store to buy the rest of them at a very favorable price so we could just get rid of them. He put the money into U.S. savings bonds for me, which I cashed out many years later to use for a down payment on my first new car. Story 8. I won a lifetime supply of AA and AAA batteries from a major Canadian tech retailer about 20 years ago. Thing is, batteries last a long time and there really isn't that much that I use batteries for. Hypothetically, I could start a black market battery business by just getting my free batteries and selling them to people in need, but it's just not worth the time. Even getting the batteries isn't worth the time. I have to get them to type in my name in their system and there's a note by my name indicating that I get free batteries because I won a contest 20 years ago. And then they run and get their manager to look at it because that looks suspicious. And then the manager looks at it and then asks me questions and then they finally relent and give me my free batteries. Story 9. In elementary school, I got the option to choose a lifetime supply of chocolate milk or a cruise vacation. My parents chose the cruise vacation when I wanted to choose the Choxy milk instead. They ended up going without me, which hurt my feelings. I'm financially free now and travel every month and whenever they ask me to bring them along, I always bring it up. Edit. My school had a milk program where every lunch I would get a small carton of chocolate milk and there was a prize if your milk carton moved when opening it. Man, that's messed up. I get wanting to take the cruise over some chocolate milk but at least bring the kid along. Like what kind of narcissistic person do you have to be to do something like that? Story 10. When I was a kid, I won a contest online that included a lifetime supply of Hubba Bubba bubble tape. I don't remember the exact amount, but I think it was about a dozen boxes of gum. They also sent me a small boom box and hockey jersey with the Hubba Bubba logo on it. I got sick of it pretty quickly and it had a shelf life. A friend and I wound up using it all for a school project where we had to make a model of the town from the book The Outsiders. We made the entire model out of gum, and it was disgusting. Our jaws got sore from chewing all the gum, so we wound up dipping it in water instead. Our teacher docked us points for creativity. 20 years later and I'm still pretty mad about that. Edit. Wow, I was not expecting this to get so many responses. I should clarify that we lost points because it wasn't creative enough. Reading these responses really validates my anger lol. Stay golden everyone. Story 11. I once worked a job that had me purchase Subway sandwiches for mobile working crews and let me keep the tickets, when you could fill the card up for free sandwiches. All the tickets were numbered and purchases valid. After 2 years I had enough tickets and receipts to redeem multiple sandwiches daily for at least 6 months if I wanted, and still accruing more. I started filling out the cards and giving them to friends to eat a free lunch. Within 1 month, my friends and I were banned from every Subway in a 5-mile radius in Los Angeles. They put our pictures up on the wall and refused to honor the stamps, no matter who brought them in. Inside of another 2 years, Subway corporate canceled the stamps altogether and no one would accept them. I couldn't even give them away to a food bank or the homeless to get a free sandwich. Thanks, Subway. Story 12. My parents did twice in a relatively short period of time. The first was at a fair when I was in high school. They advertised it as a lifetime supply of ice cream sandwiches. They ended up giving us 100 boxes all at once. Right there on a warm July day. My mom was only able to collect them at the end of the day so there weren't even that many people to hand them out to. We got home and had about 60 left after giving away as much as possible and throwing out what didn't fit in our freezer. I played lots of sports so I ate a lot and my parents just said I could eat as much as I wanted anytime I wanted. I went through 60 boxes in a couple months. That was a good time but not so good for my weight. The second was when they bought an expensive microwave about a year later and won a 5-year supply of microwave popcorn. Basically, the same thing happened. We got a huge box with like 200 packages, and I was told to eat as much as I wanted. After living in a house that smelled like popcorn for a few weeks, my parents just threw the rest in the garbage. Story 13. I won a year of free Chula. It's a fast casual Indian restaurant. They give a year of free food, via a coupon book with 52 cards for free meals, to the first 100 customers at any location. I saw that the line was short on the way to work and called everyone in the office to get in line. We had all our business meetings at Chula for a year, with the company paying for meals when people ran out of coupons, didn't have them, or we hired anyone new. The food was perfect because if you ate vegan, paleo, gluten-free, or any combination there was something on the menu you could eat. We still use them for company catering because everyone likes the options. Story 14. My father played a game on teletext back in the day and won a lifetime supply of some beer. However, they cheated him and only sent him a party keg. My dad was a programmer, so he wrote a program that played for him cards on teletext. If the program was about to lose because of bad cards, it quit the channel and logged in again automatically again for the next run. The program was playing day and night, and after some weeks, He had won several TV sets, video cameras, cruises, you name it. Eventually, the organizer of the game locked my father out, which was illegal. So, he sued the company that organized the game and reached an agreement. They paid him an amount of about $10K, and he never played again. So instead of a lifetime supply of beer, he got a lot of stuff, and this is why I, as a teenager, had my own video camera, which, at this time, was so expensive that people had to lease them. That's awesome. I love stories about people using their programming skills to do stuff like this. Like you can do so much with those skills and you're using them to win TVs. Story 15. This wasn't a win but a glitch that gave my mom free parking at meters for about 12 years. Where I live, in a big city, there is no free parking anywhere unless it's a store-owned lot. Anyways, back in the early 2000s they started adding a card reader to the old-school coin parking meters, and to use them you would purchase the card from the city and then load funds onto the card. The benefit of this card was that you could put more time onto the meter than you thought you needed, and when you got back to your car, if there was still time left you could insert your card and the extra time would get loaded back into your card. This was great because you could always put in more than enough time and never have to go back to top off the meter if you were gone for longer than expected. The meters had a little screen that would tell you the balance of your card when you first inserted it. One day my mother had extra time on her meter and put the card in to get back the difference. The next time she parked her car at a meter and put her card in, it showed she had a $45,000 balance on the card. The machine had glitched the last time it put time back on her card and gave her that insane balance. Took her a while to believe that it would actually keep on working, but 6 months later, when her actual balance would have for sure been spent, it still showed the ridiculous number, and it would deduct the correct amount of money she would spend on the meter off of her crazy balance. For around the next 12 years, the city kept that system in place. They had added kiosks to pay during that time but still had the individual meters with the card readers until they eventually removed all of the meters and now everything is pay by app. During the time while they were still around, my mom would give her card to friends and family to park when they needed it, and every time she would park she would put like 8 hours of credit on the machines, and when she would leave, if she saw a car getting ready to park she would let them know to park in her spot once she pulled out because it had free time. Story 16. 10 years ago, I stayed up late with a group of friends doing LSD. 5 a.m. comes around and we realize we are hungover and hungry. So, we decide to drive down the road to the nearest gas station for snacks. When I pull in, I see the McDonald's they put in the gas station was open. Go to order and the cashier said, "This is our first day open and we are giving out free Big Macs for a year to the first 10 customers. It was so confusing at first, but we managed to be the first customers. So, I got a little punch-out card for Big Macs and ended up using that shit every day for a couple months until I was sick of McDonald's. Thank you, McDonald's, for the hangover food." Story 17. I was moving into a new apartment when the power shut off. I called the power company and explained that I was just moving in, and they turned the power back on with the understanding that I'd be in to set up my new account as soon as possible. Well, you know how things go. I get busy with life and forgot. 3 years later my power gets shut off. I didn't exactly win and my prize didn't last a lifetime, but I certainly got away with years of free electricity. I had to make some back payments to get the power back on, but it was pennies to what I would have actually owed in that time. While the power was off the second time, I noticed a nightlight was still working in one particular outlet. From then on, we had a window AC unit plugged into that outlet. The joys of free electricity never stopped. Story 18. Finally, my time to shine. I won the Nickelodeon Super Slinky Star Trek Saturday contest as a kid. Remember those TV phone-in contests in the 80s? Yeah, one of those. It involved answering trivia questions about the animated SD series on a call-in number during this all-day Star Trek Animated View Fest. I was 9 or 10 years old. I won the grand prize, a lifetime supply of Slinkies. Yes, a lifetime supply of Slinkies. Weeks later, my shipment of Slinky toys arrived. It was a white plastic Nickelodeon branded spring, a classic metal one inside that, and a mini plastic one inside that. 3 Slinkies. In a retail Slinky box. That was it. Not the billions I expected to see on my front step. 3. A trio of springs. I still actually have one of them, about 35 years later. The branded white one has survived all these years. It's in my garage just chilling. So, I guess it has been a lifetime supply so far. I could do with a top-up. I guess Slinkies last a long time, so it's kind of true, but Slinkies are so cheap, like just send a box full, you're a massive company, you can afford it. Anyway, that's all for this video. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next video.